welcome to this NewsMobile special. I'm Saurabh Shukla and I'm joined by a special guest, Congressman Suhas Subramanyam, who's, I would say, the newest member of the Samosa Caucus, as it's lovingly called. He's a congressman from Northern Virginia. Congressman, so good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Congressman, the presidential inauguration is just days away. President Trump is going to take over second term for President Trump. What are your expectations from President Trump?
Yeah, my expectations are low. The previous Trump administration, I think their one biggest accomplishment was the tax cut bill, and I think that wasn't necessarily the best thing for my community, but I know just generally they haven't shown a lot in the terms of bipartisanship or wanting to work with us, but I'm willing to work with President Trump and with all Democrats and Republicans to get things done for my district. It's difficult, but I think we're in a position now where we can do a lot of great things, and American people expect us to, but we actually have to work together.
Yeah, and you're going for the inauguration?
I am going to the inauguration. Yeah, I think it's important to have a peaceful transition of power, and that's why I'm going.
Very good. You talked about bipartisanship, and that's a very, very important thing because, U.S. democracy only gets strengthened when there is bipartisan support. On one of the bipartisan support that U.S. has had is the relationship with India. Where do you see the U.S.-India cooperation going under the new administration, and what are your expectations?
I'm very bullish on it. I think the U.S.-India relationship will be stronger, and like you said, it's bipartisan. And there's a lot of things we work on in Congress that are bipartisan that don't get the headlines. I think this is one of them, and so I'm very optimistic about it.
Another thing, you've been someone who knows technology very well. President Trump has spoken about getting domain experts to, do work on AI and all. Given a chance, would you like to support the administration on how they can form up policies for AI, for quantum computing and things like that?
Yeah, I want the U.S. to be a leader on science and technology. That's why I joined the Science and Technology Committee here in Congress. And I think, I was a technology advisor in the Obama White House, and a lot of the work that I did continued to the Trump administration and then the Biden administration and beyond. And so, again, a lot of that work is bipartisan, and I think it's very important.
And we saw some bipartisanship bonhomie at President Carter's, memorial service between President Obama and President Trump. Hopefully that continues as well. The other issue I want to talk about is very, very important, and I know a lot of your constituents, their family members are impacted. There's a huge green card backlog, especially concerning a lot of Indian Americans, who are here, who've been hardworking, paying a lot of taxes. So do you support that this whole country cap on green cards should go away? Because that's something which is being talked about across the aisle.
Yeah, I absolutely support getting rid of the country caps. I do think we need comprehensive immigration reform too, that includes opening up immigration for skilled workers. The H-1B program has been a success for a lot of businesses. The one thing missing is that path to citizenship for a lot of folks, especially from India. And if we have that, we're going to attract more talent to the United States. Also, better relations between U.S. and other countries like India that have a lot of skilled workers. And so, it's a high priority of mine as we talk about immigration reform. Most of the rhetoric has been about the border, but I want to talk about legal immigration too.
That's a very valid question. And in terms of your own personal agenda, is there something which is Congressman Suhas's agenda for 2025 that you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I want to do whatever we can to lower costs. People felt the pain of inflation and rising costs over the past couple of years, and I want to make sure we do things to address that. Some of that is things out of our control, like what the Federal Reserve does. But some of it is also markets that are have cartel or monopoly-like behavior, or just imperfect generally, that we can have policy solutions to. So I want to make sure we address our economy generally, and I do think that we have a lot of federal workers in the D.C., Virginia area, and there's been a push to fire them, and that would be really tough for our economy in Northern Virginia too. So there's many other things like safety, gun violence prevention is important to me, and reproductive rights. But really, the economy is number one in my mind.
Do you think that one of the things is you can accomplish a lot of this agenda is also to working, as we were speaking earlier, in a bipartisan manner? Is there an initiative? I see a lot of freshman congressmen and women coming into this August House. So is there like a informal group that you propose where they can come together across the aisle to look at futuristic solutions? Because a lot of you I've seen when I've interacted with the younger lot, they are very progressive with ideas across the aisle.
Yeah, they have a couple groups that aren't as active. Sometimes they're active, sometimes they're not. There's one called the Problem Solvers Caucus, but I don't know if it's still active. The founder and chair is running for governor right now, and so we'll see. I'd like to be parts of groups like that. I created one in the General Assembly, one of the first of its kind, right. And so I'd like to continue that kind of work because I've always worked really effectively with Republicans.
One of the accomplishments, I would say, is just ahead of his taking over, President Trump has already got the hostage deal in place. So what would you say to that? Is that an accomplishment, and you see some good things coming out of the new Trumpian foreign policy here?
The hostage.
The Gaza hostage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably a Biden administration accomplishment. They've been working on it for 3 months now. Yeah. It didn't happen before the election because of the politics of it. But they were close. They probably would have, if this wasn't an election year last year, they would have gotten done before the election. And the people negotiating right now are the Biden administration folks. There's not one Trump person in that negotiation right now. So I wouldn't say it's a Trump accomplishment.
Yeah. But overall, do you see, because obviously when it comes to China, when it comes to Middle East, and even settling the Ukraine-Russia war, you will require support from across the aisle. So do you see in this particular administration bipartisanship in some ways coming to the fore, or would you advocate that?
Yeah, I absolutely think this Congress will include a lot of bipartisanship for 2 reasons. One, my door's open, so are the doors of many Democrats on this side of the aisle. And so, but it takes 2 to tango, right? But I think Republicans, while they feel like they have a mandate, will ultimately come and work with us because of the math. They're not completely united as a caucus. There's several that won't vote for, let's say, spending, for instance. And so, they need the votes, and that means working with our caucus too. So I could definitely envision a Congress that's bipartisan.